Hello, everyone. You see, today, a lot of people are actually boasting or showing off about their credit cards and their credit scores, and they try to actually, portray that their credit cards and their credit card scores is actually making them wealthy and very rich in the society. So today, in our contemporary time, a lot of people are actually, boasting about credit cards, and you see, when you actually obtain a credit card from financial institutions and you actually pay back this money that you have actually borrowed from them, you actually get more credit scores. And the beauty of it is that when you actually have an increase in your credit scores, it means that you can actually apply for higher loans that you actually or previously collected. And that is the scenario, that is the situation, and that is what is actually going on today. And if you actually look at the society in which we are, you are going to realize that a lot of people are benefiting from these credit cards, but in the actual sense, the credit cards and its credit scores is actually a scam in the making, because the more you collect these credit cards and the more you have more credit scores, the more your potentials of being highly indebted and owing money. So you see, unfortunately, and realistically, those that actually boast about their credit cards and credit scores are actually the broke people, the confused people, or those that are actually trying to sell the idea of the credit cards to people around there. Then, so if you belong to the category of these people that are actually getting credit cards that have a high credit scores, and it could actually afford or give you the privilege of buying those things that you actually wanted for yourself, portraying you to be very wealthy or to be very rich. Then after listening to this or watching this video, you will have a rethink at the end of the day. So majority of people who obtain loans from these so-called financial institutions believe that their credit card is actually a measurement of how rich they are and how much they're actually making, because credit cards will actually give you the privilege of buying whatever you want to buy. It will give you the privilege of making money readily available for you. It will give you the privilege of buying your nice cars, your nice shirt, your nice t-shirt, your nice wristwatch, to the point of, even to some extent, buying a good home for yourself or paying off your rent and the rest of them. But in the real sense, it cannot be used as a measurement of wealth. It cannot be used as a measurement of wealth. But rather, what you are doing is that you are making other people rich. You are making other people rich, but making yourself highly indebted. And you are actually providing more money for other people at the end of the day. So, when you're talking about credit cards and credit schemes and the rest of them, it is not actually making people to be rich, but rather it is making them to be highly indebted. Because at the end of the day, you are going to pay money. You are going to pay in form of interest. You are going to pay back to the financial mortgage institutions or the banks that actually give you the privilege of using the credit card. So when you are actually boasting, when you are actually, arrogant, or you showing off yourself on social media like what most people do, you will discover that at the point in time, most of this money does not actually belong to them. They are actually gotten through the credit card and through what we call the credit scores. Welcome to another segment of intellectual brainstorming and academic excellence. I actually believe that since you've been watching my videos, you are gaining a lot of things. And if so, subscribe now to my video. This video is going to make you have a rethink, and you can actually be able to know that the credit cards and the schemes that we're talking about here is actually a scam to make people rich, other people rich, and not you. Because when you take the loan, when you take that money, you are that money will give you that actually the privilege of buying whatever you want to buy at that point in time, but you are going to pay at the end of the day. So that is credit card for you, that is credit scores for you. I can remember some time ago, that I was getting a lot of calls from this mortgage financial institutions actually asking me to come and take more money because my credit card is actually very very high, and it will actually give me the privilege of having to take money that will attract a lesser amount of money I'm going to pay back. But I decided I wasn't going to do that because I realized that the credit cards is actually going to make me more indebted. It's actually making me to make other people to be rich. It's actually going to make or solve my problem at that immediate time. But once my problem is solved, I am going to pay at the end of the day. Now you can imagine the amount of money that is actually charged now as an interest rate in the banks. And I'm not saying you should not take money. I'm not saying you should not collect loan. Of course, loan is very, very good. I remember some time ago, I actually went for a loan as well. But since I became so financially, educated, and my thinking and my orientation has actually changed, including my mindset, and that is why I'm always, advising people. Loan is good, of course, if you actually wanted, you have something that you wanted to use that money for, which is going to create a multiplier effect for you. In other words, if you're going to go for a loan, it should be something that will create money for you, that will create more wealth for you. Now, let us quickly look at the factors that will impact your credit scores. That is, what are those things that will actually, that mortgage financial institutions will actually look into before they will actually give you the credit card. Number one is that are you the type that is always paying debt? If you are the type that is always paying your debt, in good time, without delaying, without defaulting, then there's absolute possibility that you can have your credit scores. That is number one. Number two is what I call a credit utilization. That is how much credit do you qualify for as against how much debt that you actually pull out or you actually pay for. Then number three is what I call your credit history. For how long are you been taking the credit card or taking loan from banks and the rest of them, and how you have been able to be credited worthy. That is, you always pay up what in good time without delaying or without defaulting. Then we also have number four, which is your credit mix. So this entails the different types of debts that you actually have, whatever maybe credit card debt, or auto loan debt, or mortgage loan debt, or or normal loan debt, or any kind of loan debt you're actually servicing at the end of the day. So mortgage financial institutions will take into consideration all these factors I've just enumerated. So it will affect your credit scores. Number one, I will enumerate it again. Number one is what is paying your debt. Number two is what is your credit utilization. Number three is what I call your credit history. Number four is your credit miss. Credit miss. So these factors will impact your credit score. The most interesting thing is that banks will always encourage you to have different types of debt. They will encourage you because the banks and the financial institutions are there to make money for themselves. So they will always encourage you to have different types of debt. Debt is not a good thing. When you are indebted, you pay more. You are going to pay more when you are indebted. So take note of that. That when you get your credit cards, or you go for a loan, or you borrow money from banks, you are going to pay more at the end of the day. The money is not going to be given to you as a free of charge. There's always going to be what an interest that will accompany the loan or the credit card you're actually getting. So banks will always encourage you to go for different types of debt, and that's why they make it easier that if you want to actually borrow money, the conditions attached are not always very very stiff. So they do not consider how much you make. It is not their business, or how much is your level of investment, or how much cash that you actually have in your bank account. The only thing or the things that they consider is what is number one, do you have debt? If you are the type that you are actually servicing debt in one particular mortgage finance institutions, and you actually wanted to apply for a loan in another bank, there's every possibility that they might not give you, or they are going to reduce the amount of what of money they are going to give you. Because whenever you hold a loan, there's a particular amount of money banks of mortgage finance institutions are allowed to take away from your money, so that it will not have a negative effect on what on your income. Do you get it now? So the things that they consider is, what, do you have debt? Number two is that, are you the type that is always paying your debt? Then number three is, what is the different types of debt that you actually have. I can imagine how somebody will be celebrating his debt, that is actually indebted to mortgage financial institution. It is not something that you have to boast of, or you have to be proud of, that you actually what you have a credit card. But your credit card is actually funding your lifestyle, and your lifestyle that is actually being funded by your credit card. You are paying to the credit card at the end of the day in form of what of interest. So rather, you are making other people rich and not making yourself rich. So they only consider the debt fact and not your wealth factor. Not your wealth factor. So when you have a good credit scores, it will qualify you for what I call a cheaper loan. So when you have a good credit scores, what it means that they are going to is going to qualify you for what I call a cheaper loan. That is, you are going to have more percentage or more accessibility to more loans. And then you imagine, when you have more accessibility to more loans, it means what, you are highly going to be indebted. So then the question is, what are you using the loan for? Are you the kind of person that when you get that loan, like, you remember some time ago, some years back, I remember one of my colleagues that actually got a loan from a bank, and that night he decided to spend about 50,000 of that money on enjoying himself. And I asked him, well, how did you go about this loan? He told me, and I said, how did you spend the money? He said he used that the money that was given to him at that time was about 650,000 naira, and he spent 50,000 that night to enjoy himself, remaining 600,000 naira at the end of the day. Then what is this going to happen? That is not a good loan. It's a bad loan. It's a bad debt. So wealth is not determined by the type of car that you're using, or the kind of expensive clothes that you're wearing, or the kinds of expensive wristwatch that you're actually wearing, or the type of what of expensive lifestyle that you're actually living. It is determined by your investment and your savings. So if you have expensive cars, if you live in an expensive apartment, you are using an expensive wristwatch, you are using expensive things, you are the kind of an exorbitant individual, or you live an expensive lifestyle, that is not a measurement of wealth. That is not a measurement of wealth. Because when you are talking about wealth, it means that you are not spending your money. So wealth is created when you are no longer spending your money. But what is you are using at that point in time is your level of investment, which is what you're actually spending. So you are not spending your money directly, but your lifestyle, your way of life, or what you buy is being funded by your investment and your savings. So if you're actually saving and you're actually what investing your money, there's every tendency that you're going to be very wealthy, as opposed to somebody that is living an extravagant life, that's living a flamboyant life, using expensive cars, living expensive houses, buying expensive things. So wealth is determined by your investment and your savings. So credit scores, which is a scam, does not equate wealth. So no amount of credit scores or credit cards, that no amount of money that's in your credit card or your credit scores will determine your level of wealth. It cannot determine your level of wealth. What will determine your level of wealth is your level of investment and your savings. But unfortunately, it will give you access to cheaper debits, to cheaper loans. And I've already explained that when you have cheaper loans, or you are indebted, that is not a measurement of wealth. So if you want to create wealth today, then it is our time for you to invest your money. You invest your money, you save your money, where you watch your money growing at the end of the day. Cheaper loans is going to create more debt for you. The more you engross yourself in credit cards, The more you embellish yourself in credit cards, the more you put yourself into more debt, the more highly indebted you are going to be. So to win in this system, which is what I call capitalism or a free market economy, you need or you must buy stuff with your cash instead of what? Of credit cards. So what I'm saying here is that if you actually wanted to make money in this economic system, most of the things that you are buying should be with your cash and not your credit card. So if you want to win, if you want to be a champion, if you want to survive in this economic system, which is capitalism, where the gap between the rich and the poor is always what? Expanding every day, is always what? Bridging, is not bridging up, but it's what? Expanding and widening every day. Then what you need is that if you want to buy any of those things that I actually wanted, you must use your card, cash, instead of a credit card. Credit card will make you to be highly indebted, but when you use your cash to purchase those things, you are not paying any interest, or you are not paying anybody, you are not indebted to anybody, because it's your physical cash. So whenever you use your credit card, you make other people to be very rich and what? And wealthy, and you keep yourself broke instead. So this is 2024. You need to learn this process. So you must own assets in this 2024. You must invest your money on real estate, on stocks, on money market funds, and a host of them, or rental properties and the rest of them. This it is time for you to invest in all these assets. And asset investment is actually wealth creation. It will make you to be richer, and it will create what? A decade of what? Of a sacrifice for you, where at the end of the day you will not live a life of regret. So your focus should be on asset and investment, which is a decade of what? Of sacrifices. Now somebody was asking me that when you talk about investment, for how long are you going to invest your money? When you talk about decade of sacrifices, at least the minimum amount of years that you can actually invest your money is 10 years. 10 years. I can remember when I started some time back, it was like today now, it's like yesterday. When I started, some time ago, today now is like yesterday, because now I'm finding it very easier, and I'm very happy with myself for the decision I've actually taken, and I'm seeing my money grow every day. My money grow every day. So investment, like what I'm doing, is what we call money market fund. I get paid every day from Monday to Sunday. I get paid. And what I do is I reinvest that money back into my investment portfolio. Then at the end of the month, I put more money into that investment to make more money for myself. And it's actually growing. So you can make that decision. So when you talk about credit card in a nutshell, because I'm handing up now, it is not a mechanism that will actually create wealth for you, but it will rather create or embellish you into more debt and more debt, because when you default, you pay fine, and apart from that, you also pay interest to the company that has given you the credit card. So it's always easy when you have the credit card, because it gives you the privilege of buying whatever you like, but at the end of the day, you are making other people to be very, very rich. Investment is the way, asset creation is what is the way, and not a credit card, because it's a scam. It's a scheme to reap money away from a lot of people. So if you're actually in that category of people that actually have a credit card, and you're actually posting, or you're actually very arrogant about it, remember today that that credit card is not creating wealth for you, but rather it is making you to be highly indebted, because at the end of the day, you are going to pay for default, and you're going to pay for interest to the bank or the financial mortgage institution that provided the credit card to you. So on that note, I am going to end this topic on the credit card, the scams that are actually involved. I believe I've actually gained something today. If I've actually gained something in this topic or in this video, please subscribe now. Don't forget to share the video to people out there, because a lot of people actually need this video to know how to actually create wealth for themselves, and know that when you have a credit card or you have a credit score and you're posting all around that your credit score is actually high, it is not a measurement for wealth, but rather you are paying back to the company or the mortgage financial institution or the banks that actually obtain the credit card from. So till we meet next time, I am your loyal David Oni, and my YouTube channel is what is David Oni. But right now, if you have actually seen some changes on my video, like great mindset or whatsoever, I'm trying to innovate, I'm trying to be dynamic, I'm trying to improve on whatever I'm doing. So it is still the same person, the same me. And don't fall victims of those fraudsters or those people that are out there claiming to be David Oni. This is actually David Oni. Don't give your money to anybody because I will never ask you for any money. Don't transfer your money to anybody because I will never ask you to do that. I am still David Oni and I will always remain loyal to you. Thank you all. To my returning subscribers, I say a big thank you. And if you've not subscribed, I bet the time is still on. You can still subscribe.